Hello everyone, this is Shrikante, and today we are going to be talking about we're going to be exploring the six key steps that supports cognitive transformation, the process of changing of how we think in order to improve how we feel and act. Now, this transformation helps us break negative thought patterns, develop emotional resilience, and also respond more thoughtfully in daily life. Now, the steps that we will cover include value of identification, reconceptualization, skills acquisition process, consolidation, practicing new habits, and last but not the least, follow up and evaluation. Now, each step brings us closer to greater mental clarity, emotional control, and healthier communication. Now, let's get started. Now, let us begin by introducing Eric Nizar. I hope that I pronounced that right. But basically, he was a key figure in the field of cognitive psychology. So, Nizar is known for his forward thinking approach to understanding the mind and its role in personal growth. Now, his work focuses on how thoughts shape behavior, and more importantly, how we can intentionally shift our thinking to create lasting change. Now, he also emphasizes that the process of cognitive transformation, the idea that by becoming aware of our thought patterns and learning to reframe them, we can also improve our emotional well-being, relationships, and decision making. His insights remind us that growth isn't just emotional or behavioral, it's deeply cognitive. Now, real change begins when we change the way that we think. Now, change is at the heart of cognitive transformation. It's how we grow, adapt, and also improve. But change isn't easy to navigate alone. That's where helpers come in. Helpers can be therapists, teachers, mentors, or even your close friends. And but basically anyone who supports our growth by offering guidance, encouragement, and practical tools. Now, they don't make the change for us, but they help us see possibilities, challenge unhelpful patterns, and also stay accountable as we move forward. Now, their role is to empower and not direct. So, what? So, whether you are seeking change or helping others through it, remember transformation is most powerful when it happens in connection with others. Now, this slide introduces the three key psychological ideas that are central to cognitive transformation. Firstly, is cognitive bias. Now, these are the mental shortcuts our brain takes that can lead to distorted thinking. Now, they can affect how we interpret situations, make decisions, and even how we see ourselves and others. Now, by recognizing these biases is the first step towards clearer and more rational thinking. Next is the concept of self change first. Now, transformation begins internally. Now, when we focus on changing our own thoughts, reactions, and attitudes, we regain a sense of control. Now, this empowers us to respond to life with intention rather than just reacting out of habit. Finally, responsibility breeds empowerment. Now, when we take ownership of the thoughts and actions, we shift out of a victim mindset. We become active participants in our growth, and that mindset opens the door to long-term change, even when external situation stays the same. Now, together these concepts help create the mindset needed for real, lasting cognitive transformation. Now, step one in the cognitive transformation process is all about the value and identification. Now, this means recognizing what truly matters to you and using that as a foundation for change. Now, we begin with the self identification. Now, this means understanding who you are, and it's not just based on external labels, but by identifying your core values: honesty, compassion, growth, independence, and so on. Now, these values serve as a compass during challenging moments of the transformation. Next is recognizing the personal values. Now, when we clarify what's truly important, we can set goals that are meaningful and aligned with who we want to become. Now, without that alignment, change feels forced or unsustainable. Now, establishing clear goals gives directions. Now, these goals helps us focus on specific behavior or patterns that need to be shifted in order to live more fully in line with our values. Then comes the self reflection. Now, this is where we become aware of the thoughts, emotions, behaviors that either support or block our progress. Now, regular reflection always keeps us honest and aware. And finally, commitment. Commitment to change is key. Now, without commitment, awareness won't lead to action. Now, embracing your values gives you the motivation to keep going, even when the process gets uncomfortable. So, this first step is all about getting grounded. Now, if you know who you are and what matters the most, your path forward becomes much clearer. Second step in cognitive transformation is reconceptualization, the process of examining and reshaping how we see ourselves, our experiences, and the world around us. Now, it starts by identifying limiting beliefs, the internal narratives that we build over time, often unconsciously, that tells us what we can't do, aren't good at, or will never achieve. Now, these self imposed barriers often block our growth without us realizing it. Recognizing and challenging them is the first step towards progress. Next, we focus on exploring new perspectives. When we consciously step outside of our usual thought patterns, we begin to see that there is more than just one way to interpret a situation. Now, this flexibility in thinking opens the door to creative problem solving and also emotional growth. Now, again, reflective thinking is crucial here. Now, regularly checking in with your thoughts and emotions helps reveal more deeper motivations, hidden fears, and also unmet needs. Now, this clarity helps you redefine your goals and align them with who you're becoming. And lastly, collaborating with peers can accelerate reconceptualization. Now, when we share our experiences, we learn from the perspective also of others. Now, these conversations often challenge us to rethink assumptions and find support in ways that we didn't expect. So, in this step, the goal is to rethink your thinking and to shift from the automatic patterns to more conscious, open-minded, and flexible ways of understanding yourself and your path. Now, third step is skills acquisition process. Now, this is the process where developing the tools and techniques are needed to put change into action. Now, it begins with identifying the skills that you need. Now, this could be your emotional regulation skills, communication strategies, or cognitive tools like thought reframing. Now, the key is aligning the skills with your personal goals and the challenges that you want to overcome. Now, once you have identified the right skills, now practice becomes essential. Like building muscle, cognitive and behavioral skills require repetition to take hold. Practice strengthens your confidence and reinforces a growth mindset that which reminding you that progress comes with effort and not perfection. Next, make sure to seek feedback. Now, constructive input from others, whether it's from your peers, mentors, professionals, or even if your friends too. Now, they can help you refine and also improve your mistakes. Now, it also brings awareness to blind spots that you might not notice on your own. Finally, the most important part, we apply the skills in real life situations. Now, this is where theory becomes transformation. Using what you have learned in meaningful contexts, like during a conflict, a presentation, or a stressful moment, it solidifies your learning and builds a long term confidence. Now, this step is all about movement, turning insight into action. Fourth step is consolidation. Now it's the process of reinforcing what you have learned, so those new skills become lasting and automatic. Now it starts with active practice and reflection. It just means the same thing as the last slide, like doing it repeatedly, and then also it also helps you to continue using that skill consistently, but also thinking critically about how it's working for you. Now, it also and the reflection helps identify what's effective and what needs tweaking. Next, always feedback. Now, feedback is important, and I won't have to repeat that for this slide. But basically, constructive feedback is necessary in this whole process. So, yeah, it also helps you stay aligned with your goals. And again, peer support and collaboration also plays a big role over here. So sharing your experiences once again, practicing together, or even simply talking through challenges can deepen under your understanding and keep motivation high. So learning in community reinforces the progress. Finally, integration into daily life is the ultimate goal. So basically, when new skills show up naturally, like in conversations, decisions, or even reactions, they become part of your identity. So that's when we know the real transformation is taking place. Now, when that skill doesn't feel like a strategy anymore, but simply have sorry that's when we know like the real transformation is taking place, like when the skill doesn't feel like a strategy anymore, but it's like simply how you live and think. So basically the step is to ensures that all of the effort that you have been put into learning doesn't fade, but also becomes part of who you are moving forward. Now, fifth step is the habit formation process. So basically, it's the stage where the repeated behaviors also become automatic and long-term transformation starts to step. So basically, the difference between slide 4 and slide 5 is that slide 4 is like the beginning of the automatic and long-term habit, but like this is like the advanced version of it. So yeah, so basically it begins with establishing the consistency. So again, it helps strengthen the neural pathways that makes it easier and more natural over time. So again, consistency makes it into a habit. And then next, we focus on setting clear measurable goals. Now when we define what success looks like, whether it's journaling every night or responding calmly in stressful moments, we create direction and motivation. Now, clear goals also gives us something concrete to celebrate. And then tracking progress is another key element. So, keeping a record of your growth, even small wins, helps maintain momentum. It also highlights patterns, reveals challenges, and also strengthens your commitment to change. Lastly, creating support systems makes the process more sustainable. Surrounding yourself with people who support your goals, whether friends, mentors, or groups, adds an accountability and encouragement. Positive reinforcement from others increases the likelihood that new habits will stick. And at this stage, the goal is to make the new behavior feel familiar, effortless, and part of your daily rhythm. So, yeah. Now, taking responsibility is a powerful step in change process. It marks a moment when an individual shifts from a victim mindset, believing that life happens to them, to an empowered mindset, whether they recognize the ability to influence their thoughts, actions, and outcomes. And yeah. So as we are closer to this lesson today, this slide highlights the key elements that sustain cognitive transformation: personal responsibility, community support, and an understanding of diverse psychological approaches. Now, when individuals take ownership of their thoughts, choices, and actions, they gain the power to create meaningful change. Now, this shift from a victim mindset to a proactive one is a foundational to long term growth. Next, we must recognize the importance of community and ecology. Now, no transformation will happens in isolation. Now, supportive environments, again, it's the same thing over and over again. But basically, if you have like a now supportive environments with your whether it's your peers, mentors, future professionals, whatever, and they basically provide the encouragement. They also they will also align with your goals, or like and they also make you feel motivated basically. And then finally, understanding the different schools of psychology thought gives us a richer toolkit. Whether it's the structured approach of cognitive psychology, the deeper emotional work of psychodynamic theory, the behavior shaping techniques from behavioral psychology, or even the empathy driven practices of centered approach, now each school offers valuable strategies for supporting transformation. So, together, these elements reminds us that while change begins within, it is sustained through knowledge, action, and connection with others. And yeah, thank you for watching and have a nice day. Bye.